No matter how immortal a player seems, they always have an Achilles heel. Even Federer, arguably the most complete player of all time, had a weakness, that being his one-handed backhand. No matter what your weakness is, it's going to get exploited by your competition once they figure out what it is. At the end of the day, nobody's... I just said that there isn't anyone without a weakness, but Jannik Sinner comes pretty damn close. Now, the most tennis LARP thing you can say right now is Sinner's only weakness is the heat, which is surprisingly 99% true. The guy is so good at tennis that the only thing that can stop him is Apollo himself. As for the other 1%, the only other thing you might call a weakness is his lack of variety. Sinner can camp the baseline and still win against the whole tour except for one man, Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz's main weakness is his consistency. Peak Alcaraz is better than Sinner, but peak Alcaraz doesn't always show up to the match. In that case, Sinner's able to take advantage of Alcaraz's lack of focus. The other thing about Alcaraz is his serve. It's not bad by any means, but it's not elite either. This is often the case with players who fall on the shorter side of the Pro Tour, like Alcaraz. The previous two players have negligible weaknesses compared to Zverev's in my opinion. His weakness on the forehand side is rather uncommon since most players struggle more with the backhand. Zverev often plays overly passive on the forehand side when he should really be looking to end the point. On the takeback, his racket head faces the ground rather than the side or the back fence, which limits the power he can generate. His other weakness is his nerves. In the biggest moments, he chokes due to the pressure. Since he's just won a slam though, that should be a lot of pressure off of his shoulders. Auger-Aliassime is a bit of a one-dimensional player. It's clear that he's an aggressive baseliner, but sometimes it's a little too clear. He loves being on offense at all times, but if he's put on defense, he struggles to turn the tables. Even if his aggressive playstyle isn't working, he hasn't quite honed the skills needed to adapt to his opponent mid-match. de Minaur is an interesting player because half of his game is S tier, but the other half is completely lacking. I'm talking about his defense and offense respectively. His speed makes defensive ground strokes a strong suit, but when he has to hit a winner, his ground strokes become rather mediocre. I've noticed that his wrist is relatively stiff on the forehand side, meaning that there isn't much whip. But the biggest hole in his game is his serve. His first serve percentage is quite low at 57%, and he's unable to generate lots of power. His second serve lacks spin. One of Shelton's weaknesses is his return. He's ranked 71 on the return stats leaderboard as the number 5 player in the world. His other weakness is the backhand. He rarely goes down the line with it, which makes him very predictable on that wing. He also kind of defaults to the backhand slice sometimes when he should be hitting a more offensive shot. It's a great shot to throw in, but sometimes it just feels like a cop-out so he doesn't have to hit an actual backhand. Djokovic has essentially no technical flaws in his game. I've heard some people say that his overhead smash isn't aggressive enough, but that's really nitpicking. He may not have technical flaws, but physically, Father Time is not on his side. He doesn't have the stamina to play long, grueling rallies, not to mention 5-setters at Roland Garros. So really, his only weakness is being true unk. Fritz can't move. Like many top players, with the exception of Medvedev and a few others, he struggles to cover the court effectively. After a full yet slowish sprint to the ball, he takes a lot of time to regain his balance and recover position. You also never really see him sliding. Bublik has the same consistency problem as Alcaraz, but just amplified by a million. On a good day, he can beat anyone, even Sinner. On his bad days, he can lose to someone outside of the top 100. It really just depends on if he enjoyed his breakfast that morning. He is the definition of a streaky player. Ruud is a solid and a very complete player. He doesn't have many weaknesses, but also lacks a trump card, so you might say that his lack of a standout shot is his weakness. Other than that, Ruud is arguably the worst grass court player in the top 50. I would dare to say that Medvedev is better on clay than Ruud is on grass. Draper is one of the few players that has the potential to challenge Sinner and Alcaraz, so why is he currently outside of the top 100? Well, his weakness is probably the most devastating one you could have. It's his own body. He's constantly injured, so it's really a miracle if he can bring himself to play more than 2 events in a row. Comment below if you think there are some weaknesses that I missed. Also, let me know if you have any ideas for future videos. I'm open to suggestions. Thanks for watching.